Hey everyone, Ida from PGP here, and welcome back to Headline Mondays. Hope you recovered from the first race week, and let's go over some headlines. So, what happened? Well, let's start off with Alpine. So, even before the race, Bruno Famini, the team principal, said the season will see a rough start for them, but they're optimistic that they can improve with upgrades and stuff. And honestly, after seeing that race on Saturday, I don't disagree with him because, the boys qualified 19th and 20th on Friday, and then Saturday, they made up a few places, but it wasn't great. And also, that this actually came out after the race on Saturday. It's reported that the Alpine technical director, Matt Herman, and the head of aerodynamics, Dirk de Beer, have resigned pre the GP on Saturday. Now, there's no official confirmation about this yet. And actually, Alpine, when asked about this, actually denied to comment on any such rumors. So maybe it's happening, maybe it's not happening, no one knows. Then again, Alpine has been chaos for a while, it seems like. Otmar leaving randomly after the Belgian GP last year, that was weird too. And then we have VCARB, or RB. I still don't 100% know what to call them, because to me RB is Red Bull, but a lot of commentators are calling the junior team RB and the senior team Red Bull, so we'll see where I land on the whole calling them thing. But anyway, so the boss, Peter Beyer of VCARB, said that F1 risks losing its competitive aspect if they pursue ideas like banning customer parts starting in 2026 with the new regulations. And honestly, I want to agree because, for example, not everyone can develop their own engines or even wants to or has the budget. Look at Haas, for example. They don't have the budget to develop their own engine. That's why they take a Ferrari engine. Or, for example, also Sauber or Williams with Mercedes and stuff like that. Granted, would it make it more interesting from a constructor's perspective? Maybe, because the cars would be even more unique. But still, I feel like allowing customer parts is a way for the junior / backmarker teams to kind of get an edge in, instead of basically just being true backmarkers. But we'll see what happens. It's also interesting that VCARB said that because of how dominant their parent team Red Bull is right now. On the note of Red Bull, there's been a lot. Granted, most of it is not confirmed yet, but still. So let's dive in. Let's get started with the Christian Horner thing. Well, midweek last week, he got cleared of any wrongdoing by the special investigator that Red Bull GmbH, the parent company, hired. However, not a day later, potential, and I'm saying potential here because their authenticity has not been confirmed by anyone. So potential WhatsApp messages between Horner and the employee that accused him of inappropriate behavior were leaked to the press. They were sent to the FIA. They were basically sent to everyone. Like, by some accounts, the email that contained the WhatsApp link had like 190 recipients or something like that. So, as a consequence, FIA President bin Sulayem said that this situation is very dangerous to the sport, and also it's damaging to everyone involved. And I mean, everyone can agree on that, because on one hand, he was cleared by that investigation, but on the other hand, all of a sudden, this bombshell dropped, or this potential bombshell dropped, and no one knows what's happening. So, of course, until we know more, there can only be damage done. And the interesting part about the entire thing is also, over the Grand Prix weekend, Jos Verstappen, Max Verstappen's dad, who's very much involved in Max's career, and Max being Red Bull's golden boy, or current golden boy, because they had other ones before. Basically, Verstappen came out and said there will always be tensions while he, Horner, remains in the position of team principal, and the team is in danger of falling apart because of this. And apparently he also took a meeting with Toto Wolff, team principal of Mercedes, about Max potentially switching sides in 2025 and potentially replacing Lewis. Which, honestly, to me, is not surprising, especially after he said the whole falling apart bit. And also, it apparently is not surprising to Helmut Marko, because even before it came out that Jos Verstappen and Toto met, Helmut Marko actually came out and said he wouldn't be surprised if they aren't in contact. But, I mean, honestly, it's such a weird dynamic, because, say, 6 months ago, or even a month ago, Red Bull, Verstappen, and Horner, those names were so linked so tightly that you could not imagine one without the other two. But now, all of a sudden, if those rumors are true of Jos Verstappen taking a meeting with Toto, that could all be called into question, because Jos also came out and said that if Horner stays, Max won't. Which, him saying that makes sense in connection with all of his other statements, but at the same time, it's so surprising, because Horner and Red Bull, in essence, basically took Max, a 16-year-old at the time, in 2014, took him out of F3 and plopped him into that Toro Rosso. because they had so much faith in him. And they did that even though Mercedes was also looking at him being Verstappen, but of course, because they had other drivers committed long-term, they couldn't do the rearranging that Red Bull could at the time. That's why he ended up going to Red Bull. But it would just be, honestly, Max to Mercedes, interesting. That's all I'm gonna say for now, if the rumors are true. Or even if the rumors of those conversations, I mean, if those conversations go any further, even just the potential of Max going to Mercedes, to me, is insane. And all because of allegations and everything. And granted, I'm not discounting the allegations. I'm just saying, as far as we know, the public, they're all allegations at this point. But with the whole talking to Mercedes, speaking out against Horner by the Verstappen camp, it almost feels like there's more to it. There's something we don't know. And that feeling, at least in my gut, got even stronger when earlier on Sunday, it came out that apparently the current owner of Red Bull, Mateschitz, actually was ready to sack Horner at the end of January, but then and a press release was already drafted and everything. Basically, the only step that was left was to tell Horner. Well, they told him, apparently, and Horner didn't take it laying down, lawyered up, and his lawyers were able to prevent him being booted. I don't know how, but if it is true, it would be insane. And also, you don't necessarily lawyer up if you're not guilty, but that's just me. And from first seat RB news and team principal RB news to second seat RB news. So while we don't know yet whether Checo will retain his second seat or whether there will be someone else, Marco, in connection to the second seat, said that, according to him, and I quote, "It is an ejector seat, as no one can hold a candle to Max, and that can be very demoralizing very quickly." And honestly, I see it, because look at, when was it, 2019, Pierre Gasly got put into that second seat next to Max after Daniel left. It took him not even half a season. He was out. Alex Albon was in. Alex lasted a year and a half, got booted, and now Checo's in that seat. Granted, he's been in that seat since 2021, but still, that's a long time for a second Red Bull seat, because even the likes of Daniel with Seb and Max, and even during Seb's time at RB with Mark Webber, they didn't last that long. So I'm glad they're finally admitting it. But that's it for Red Bull news, let's move on to someone else, Mercedes. So, there's still some news surrounding the Lewis move, of course, because there won't be no news until, I want to say, like halfway through 2025. Because it's such a shocking move. But anyway, Toto spoke about, basically Toto spoke out about why they only offered Lewis a short-term contract, because they basically offered him only a short-term contract because they didn't want to lock in an older driver into a long-term contract when they were such promising juniors like Kimi Antonelli coming up through the ranks. Because, as I mentioned, back in 2014, 2015, when Max came up through the ranks, who Kimi Antonelli is often compared to these days, Mercedes weren't in a spot to offer Max a seat. And because of Rosberg and Hamilton's contracts, and basically Toto flat out said, we don't want that to happen again. Hence why we didn't offer him a longer contract. Which makes sense, because look at how good Max is right now. But at the same time, it must hurt because Lewis has been with the team for what, 11 years? It's going to be 12, I think 11 or 12 years at the end of the season, which is insane. But hey, it is what it is. And then also Sebastian Vettel, a good friend of Lewis Hamilton's and former driver, also spoke out about the move, saying that he was surprised. And however, even though there are rumors swirling that he could make a comeback and take Lewis a seat in 2025, he hasn't had any contact with Toto yet, at least not verbally. They've apparently texted, but no concrete plans were made. But Toto, in that regard, also said that there were no active plans to bring him back, but he doesn't rule it out either. So I'm wondering, what if they, because when they first joined the sport, Mercedes, they had the lineup of Michael Schumacher and Nico Rosberg, and Schumacher came out of retirement for that. And I'm wondering whether they're going to pull another move like that, because I don't honestly see them putting Kimi Antonelli into the Mercedes straight away when they have Williams, who is essentially their junior team, where he could develop with way less pressure. But that's my 2 cents on last week's headlines. I hope you enjoyed my takes, and see you guys next week, and happy Saudi race week. Remember, races again on Saturday this week.